You should get some of these in-ear monitors I got, dude. Like, I might buy another pair of these just to listen to music through. I really like them.
Yeah. I mean,
like I took them to work with me yesterday and just listened to music with them.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they look like they're comfortable and they won't accidentally fall out or anything like that. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, if you're trying to look cool with your little studio headphone monitor headphones there, then, you know,
Yeah.
I can't. This looks less cool probably because you don't even notice it. But that's what I wanted to see.
But that's the whole thing,
Right.
is that, you know, people won't even notice, and you can
Yeah.
just pretend like you're listening to them when you're not.
Yeah. So,
You know, my wife got like a pair of the Apple AirPod Pros like as a gift from work a couple of years ago, and she just doesn't like them. So
oh, really?
yeah, I mean, she likes the other, like the non-Pro AirPods, or just the headphones. I hate those because they don't stick in my ear, like stay in my ear.
I've never used them, but I always just feel like, how is that even staying in there? But
Yeah, it's never worked for me. But I like the ones that kind of go in. They have like the rubber on it, so you can jam it way in there.
that's what these do. Well, these come with different tips, including they come with like I use like the rubber, probably silicone, I guess, tips. But they also come with the foam tips where you have to kind of roll it like an earplug and then shove it in.
Oh, right.
So they come with lots of options. But
well, the
I don't
thing
know.
that weirds me out that I like about the AirPod Pros is that they have like a mic. They use the microphone on them so that you can hear stuff around you.
Yeah, that's cool.
If you want to.
Oh, I don't want to.
I didn't even know that that's what it did, and then when I tried it, I'm like, wow, this is wild. Like I feel as though I can. Like you could basically do anything, and you wouldn't miss anything, I guess.
Yeah.
Like if, you know, they always say, oh, don't ride a bike and like listen to headphones or something like that. Like I feel like you could ride a bike and listen to this.
That'd be cool.
And like listen to music and be able to not be nervous about dying.
Yeah. I've never messed around with AirPods at all. In fact, when I bought my editing computer, it came with a free pair. Like that was the promotion.
Really?
Like, oh, here's a free pair of AirPods.
Yeah.
I don't think they were pros. I think they were just regular AirPods. But I mean, they were the little wireless ones or whatever. And I ended up just selling them like at a deep discount to a friend of mine. The Imagine Dragons girl. I sold them to her for like half price or something just because I'm like, I don't want these. So, but then I was surprised. You know, I think we talked about, like, somebody sent us a question about like what YouTube shows we like watching, and I mentioned that Darko Audio. And I mean, that guy's like he uses a lot of high end equipment. You know, in fact, like he'll review like earbuds that are like thousands of dollars. You know, like I'm never gonna buy those, but I still enjoy just watching his show and hearing his thoughts. But he just did a couple of review videos about the new AirPod Pros, and he was like pretty positive about it. I was surprised. I figured he'd be like, yeah, these are trash. But he didn't feel that way at all. So that was cool.
I mean, just watching or listening to reviews on headphones is such a weird thing because you can't, like, it's going to be different for everybody, right? Like
yeah, and they all use the same like adjectives that adjectives.
Well, there's only so many ways that you can say, oh, it sounds surprisingly good, or
no, I know, but like, you know, like when, you know, it's one of the big reasons I'm not into wine is that I don't like wine people, you know, and the things that they say to describe the wine, because it's just hard. I get it. It's hard to describe. But so when you watch like audio equipment reviews, it's always like, oh, the sound stage is expansive and you have better separation and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Like, some of that stuff just doesn't even make sense. I just feel like, kind of like maybe what you were kind of getting at. I just feel like there's no substitute for just hearing it yourself. And like, that's one of the things. Do I
like this or do I not like this? Because didn't you say you got a pair of headphones?
Yes, and I hated them.
That were supposed to be good, and then you hated them.
I absolutely couldn't stand them. Yeah, because it's one of those things where all you can do is, this is what sucks, is you have to just watch reviews online, right? Mm-hmm. But you know, I don't want to sound like I'm being negative about YouTube people, but there's just a lot of people that have channels where it's like, that's what I do, is I review stuff, and it's just like, oh, you know, Sennheiser sent us these new pair of headphones and we're going to check them out. And it's just like, I'm sorry, but I don't really trust what you have to say. Right. Because it's just like, your show is a little bit too slick and you don't really seem like you're being authentic, which is why I watch the Audiophiliac and I watch Darko, because both of them just seem like they're giving you like as much of a no BS experience as you're going to get from an audiophile, right? So I'm saying, like, I feel like I can't really trust the reviews that I see, right? But now, because everything is online as far as shopping goes, unless you live in a major city, like I think I've said before, there's nowhere for you to go to try this stuff for yourself. So, like, you have no choice but, okay, I'm going to order these headphones that I at least have a reasonable expectation that I might like. And then you get them and you're like, oh, yeah, these are absolutely terrible, you know? But I think, like I said before, I think I've just come to the realization that, because I think usually, like, different manufacturers kind of have their own sort of sound signature, you know, that they've decided this is what we think sounds good to people. Like, even Bose, right? Like, people all hate on Bose because Bose has like a boosted mid-range, right?
Oh, okay.
And audiophiles, oh, Bose is terrible. But I'm saying, and if you think that, that's fine. But like, Bose has decided this is what we think people want, you know, or whatever. Or what this is a sound signature we want. And I think all the other manufacturers kind of have the same thing. And I just think that for me, like, Sennheiser, like, for whatever reason, that's the sound signature that I like. Like, I'm at a point now where, like, both of my main microphones are Sennheisers. These earbuds are Sennheisers. The headphones that I bought that I ended up keeping for listening to music are Sennheisers.
Yeah.
But, you know, somebody else could go get that stuff and be like, yeah, I don't like this because, like, that sound signature is not for them, you know?
Right.
And that's why I'm saying it's important to be able to go somewhere and try them for yourself and decide, you know, what you like.
Yeah, and it's going to be different no matter what, no matter, like, who you are, really.
Right.
And it's just impossible. You know, it's the same thing. Like, I had a guy was like an audio mixer at a place I worked at in New York, and he would always, like, recommend, like, Shure stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
So,
he's a Shure guy, yeah.
And, like, you know, I got, like, the SM58, which is good. And, you know, I got a shotgun mic that was a Shure, a lens hopper, and I didn't really like it. So then I ended up getting I got this cheap Rode, and I kind of like how it sounds a little bit more. Yeah, and it was like you know, $250 cheaper. Yeah,
and I mean, maybe that gets back to, like, what we briefly last time were talking about the SM7B versus the microphone you use, the RE20.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I feel like last time I made sort of an absolute statement of, like, this one's better than that one. But I mean, I don't know if that's really true, but I'm saying I read descriptions of sort of the sound signature of the SM7B versus the RE20. And just based on that, I was like, there's no way that I would not prefer that one.
Right.
But somebody else might be like, yeah, no, I don't
like an
want
A and
that.
B between them. Like, I mean, that's how I feel about the Shure. You know, and there was a long time where I was thinking about getting that, but like I said, the proximity of this is, like, the thing that sold me on it. And you know,
do you see I've got Rob behind me today? Do you even notice?
I didn't notice him.
I try to put a little bit of care. You know, there's certain things I can't do about the background, like the sewer pipe. Like, that is what it is. But you see, like, right here, I got this from IKEA. They sell these wooden hands now, where the fingers are articulated. So, like I have one upstairs that I use as, like, a headphone holder. Yeah. And then, like, actually I have 3 of these now, right? Because I have one upstairs as a headphone holder. I have one upstairs that's, like, behind where, like, sometimes I stand when I make videos. And that one's holding an NEC Avenue Pad 3, the PC Engine controller. And then you see this one's holding the NES Max, which is my lifetime, like, all-time most hated controller. But I thought it would go nice with Rob. We already talked about Rob, maybe not on the podcast, but this is not my Rob. It's on extended loan from a viewer, because I'm going to need that to make the NES launch video. So,
have you even started on the NES launch video?
Just writing it. I mean, I haven't like recorded anything, but
you heard. I
mean, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about that
first.
But yeah, I don't really want to talk about that too much. But it's harder because there's just not as much information out there, and there's not as much visual material. So it's just going to be a harder episode. Although I don't know, I managed to make the Master System launch video, but
yeah.
Anyway,
well, and it's also challenging because there's just like so many videos out there about that time period.
Oh, I don't care about that. I mean,
Right.
you
But
know,
I mean,
you've seen the rest. Now you're going to see the best.
yes.
Not really, but yeah, I really don't care what anybody else is doing. But hey, speaking sort of the NES,
Yeah.
I might, I haven't made a video in like at least a month, right? Just because we're not going to talk about. I don't want to be all negative Nancy 2 episodes in a row. Although to be fair, I didn't want to be negative Nancy last time either. You just didn't want to stop talking about my house flooding or something. So
I don't think that that's negative though. I mean, that's like a true
Schadenfreude.
experience that you were
Yeah.
having.
But like I'm feeling pretty good today. Like the sun is going to be out for at least the next 10 days. My cat's feeling better. So I was thinking maybe this afternoon I might make a video. And so I don't know. I don't think I ever talked to you or mentioned this to you or anything, but I don't know if you know those people, Gaming Alexandria.
Yeah. That's who I sent a bunch of these, like the analog magazines to.
Oh,
for
cool.
them to scan.
So, the guy that runs that whole thing, he's a guy named Hubs.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming not assuming that is him that runs their Twitter account. And they were doing this thing, I guess it's like a fundraiser, because the main thing that they do is like scanning stuff.
Right.
It's the main thing I've seen. Like they scan magazines, they scan cartridges, they scan packaging. They'll
do magazines, but I this is something I've always been curious about, and I don't know like how this overlaps. So they don't work with like retro mags, right? Retro mags is retro mags like providing separate scans of like things that maybe they've already scanned.
I mean, I feel like
does that make
from
sense?
what I get what you're saying, but I feel like from what I've seen, I feel like what Gaming Alexandria has been scanning as far as magazines go are lots of Japanese. Like they've been doing like Weekly Famitsu and Famicom Tsushin and stuff like that. Which
right.
Retro mags, I would say that their database or catalog of non-North American magazines is a little bit like they seem to emphasize North American magazines, which makes sense because they're North American.
Right.
So I don't think it's a matter of like, because why would you waste time if there's already a high quality scan on retro mags? Why would you waste time like re-scanning that? So I don't think they're doing that.
Exactly.
But
that's why I was curious about it.
They had just purchased all of those. Somebody on eBay was selling like a huge lot of like PS2 game inserts. Mm-hmm. And so they ended up buying those and scanning all of them, like the artwork, the cover.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But they've been doing a lot of Famicom games, like where they'll scan the front of the cartridge, the back of the cartridge, they'll scan the manual, they'll scan the box, and put that all up online. And that's more important to me, I would say, just because like, I use a lot of box art on my show, and it's very easy to find like North American box art, but oftentimes if you need Japanese box art, that's harder to come by. So so I guess through the course of doing that, they've been buying like lots of Famicom games. And then what he's been doing, I guess, I don't know if you call that a fundraiser, because it seems like at least partially they're just trying to recoup their investment, is on Twitter. He's been doing this thing where he's selling, I guess you could call it like a Famicom cartridge grab bag. So like you pay them $20.
And they just send you some random stuff.
Yeah, you get 3 random Famicom games for $20. And I just like, that's that's fun, because you don't know what you're going to get, And so I'd ordered, I just got one, I didn't want to like hog them, so I ordered one set, and I got those, and that was pretty cool. And then, I don't know, a couple weeks later, he posted on Twitter, we got more, and it was an even bigger, like, they're like all spread out on the floor, but it was like even more. And I was like, maybe I should get 3 more. But then I noticed he had like a bunch of sports games. And so he even put like, he's like, I know people don't like sports games, so if you don't want,
I like sports games. I'll take those.
He was like, if you don't want sports games, just tell me, and we won't give you any sports games. And I was like, well, I'm the exact opposite of that. So I like sent him a DM, and I was like, hey, how about if I'll send you like $40, and you send me 3 random not sports games, and then I'll just take 3 random baseball games. So that's
Okay.
what he did. So anyway, so now I've got a stack of 9 Famicom cartridges on my desk that I
So you're
already
gonna
went
record
through.
this video opening them up.
Well, I already opened them, but I just figured
Oh,
we could
okay.
go through and
You're just gonna
play them
talk
because
about
there's a lot of interesting stuff in there that I'm not going to tell you because I'm not going to spoil
Yeah.
it. But like I already went, I haven't tested any of them yet, but I went through and I cleaned all of them, like alcohol and deoxit.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's harder to open up a Famicom cartridge, so I didn't even bother.
Yeah.
But I just use Q-tips and whatnot. But anyway, so I'm maybe if I come home from work today and I feel motivated. I mean, if not today, I'll make it another day. But I think that'll be a fun video.
Yeah. Do you ever have that thing where you get set up to make a video and then you don't feel like making it anymore, and you're like, you get all everything set up, and you're just like, I'm just not going to do this today. I'll do it tomorrow. And then
You know what
just don't do
happens?
it.
Kind of like that to me. It's not a motivation thing. It's almost like I get like stage fright.
Yeah.
Like I get set up, and then I start getting like butterflies in my stomach, and it's just like I'm nervous, and I don't want to turn on the camera and turn on the microphone. Which is
Right.
funny because like
No,
I never
I get it.
I never get that way about this podcast. Because to me, it's like I'm just talking to you,
Right.
and like other people are going to hear it. But when I do like my CGQ Plus videos, like I'm talking to the camera, and so like
Yeah.
I'm talking to like
You're
thousands of
talking
people.
to the audience.
Yeah. By the way, just see on Twitter. I know I don't use Twitter that much, but I did tweet this out. CGQ Plus just passed this month 1 million total views.
Really? That's impressive. Yeah.
I would not have thought that. Like if you had, I put this on Twitter, but it's like if you had come to me and asked me, like, okay, don't look, how many total views do you think CGQ Plus has? I would have said way less than that. Like way less. Like I bet I would have said like 200,000. And even then, that's
Yeah.
only because there's so many videos on that channel.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and I think a lot of times you just have more fun making stuff for that video or for that channel. Is it just because like a lot of times it's less work, or do you think that you've made it more work over time?
I think it's more just like it's more casual, and I can just be myself more. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same with the magazine read-throughs. I can just be myself in the magazine read-throughs, but those are also there's way more prep work, and then there's way more editing afterwards. So even like a magazine read-through at this point takes probably like 2 weeks to make. Because I have to make it in my spare time, right? It's not like if it was my full-time job, it wouldn't take 2 weeks, but it would probably take a week.
You know, something similar to that is, I was recently updating our website because we're getting ready to sell this M2 documentary Blu-ray that we're finally got packaged.
Yeah.
And
So sorry, can I
updated
just ask a clarifying question about that real fast? Because I was curious. Sure. So did you have all the discs pressed, but you just didn't have any packaging to put them in?
So the deal is this documentary was included with Limited Run's Battle Garaga limited edition, and in that limited edition, it was included in a Saturn style case, not like a typical Blu-ray case. So that's like more expensive for them, but they had like, extra discs in case like there's damages or like they have to hit like a certain number to make an order. So like once they shipped everything and then they had like a bunch of extra copies of it, they had like 260, I think, just discs because they put them in these other cases. So we said, okay, so if we're going to sell this, we got to get them individually packaged elsewhere, like design a cover for it, send it someplace to somebody who would be able to take that, print the covers, put the discs in the Blu-ray cases, then shrink wrap them. And that was like right at, because I think that we got them in like November of 2019. So it was just like right before I moved and right before like pandemic and everything. So we just didn't do anything with it for a long time. And then finally we got in touch with this place that will take those 250 copies and do exactly what we needed to for them and then sending them back. Actually, we thought we had 300, so we're going to have like extra cases with no discs in them, which is fine in case something gets like damaged or something like that. So that's what we're going to be selling. And, I thought 250, maybe we'll sell all those like over the course of like years, because I think that's what happened with the Night Trap documentary that we did. So it was a very similar situation where Limited Run had extra copies, and those were all like discs and packaged already. And we've still have copies of it. Like not very many. I think we have like 20 copies left. But I mean that came out in 2016, 2017 maybe. I think it was 2017. So I thought like, oh, 250, like that'll be fine. But then I tweeted like the cover, and like that tweet has like 900 likes and like 150 retweets. And now I'm thinking like, oh, I don't know if
But you have,
these are going to sell. And I think, because I think that like the audience for them, for something like this, is a lot more hardcore. Like people like want this a lot more.
But you have to expect that that'd be more popular than the Night Trap thing too. I mean, I would just think that you'd have more reach with the M2 documentary.
Yes, and also the I think that when Night Trap came out, we had something like 50,000 subscribers, and now we have 218.
Yeah.
And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these up for sale, and if they like sell through like immediately, this place that we got these printed at, I'm just gonna send them the ISO image, and then they can just like print them off, and it takes them really like a week or something like that to turn them around. So
that'd be great.
So if these sell out really quick, then, and there's still like people like asking for it, like we'll get like another like 300, 400, 500, however many people are like asking about it.
Could you sell? I mean, could you do it like limited run style and just like sell it, especially if it's only a week turnaround? Yeah. Couldn't you do a pre-order system?
So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna. I mean, we might order like a certain amount, and then we can like sell them through if there's like others like more left over.
Yeah.
Like we can see if like Castlemania like wanted to buy like a bunch of them, and they could sell them like on their store.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like I bet you Stone Age Gamer would do something like that. I mean, we could probably just ask people, and we're gonna do like that's what we're gonna do. When Analog Frontiers is finished, we're going to do a 2-disc Blu-ray set of that.
That would be awesome. I think that's the best work you guys have done that I've seen.
Release that. What's that?
I think that's the best work you guys have done that I've seen.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean,
all your stuff is great. Don't take that. But I'm saying, like, I watched those and was just like, that's like a whole another level.
Well, the other two are going to be out in the next couple months, and like it's 5 episodes. And once it's done, we can go and do that set, and like we're gonna find like other avenues to see like what other options are, because I think that I say a lot of times that I think that like you say it's the best thing that we've done. I think that it's probably going to be the best thing that we'll ever do.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to top something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that
I could see that on like Netflix or something, honestly. I mean,
I know, but apparently to get stuff on Netflix, you got to shoot stuff with certain cameras, like certified cameras that like they have. If they said if your films are not made using these specific cameras, like we won't show your stuff. That's
strange.
Yeah. Well, I mean they're enormous now. Like they can make demands like that.
I get it. So sorry, is that wrapped up, or was there more?
When you say I think about no. It's he's like, oh, so are we all done with that? Because you ever see that old Tech TV segment where that guy is like looking at that sound recorder thing?
Yeah. No, I never watched.
It's like this old guy. He's like real nervous about being on TV, and he's like, you can see these little grooves on this thing, and this thing, there's only one of them in existence, and he's like on TV, like showing it, and it like he's like so nervous, he like holds it, and then it like cracks and it like shatters all over the place.
Oh no.
He's like, oh
yeah,
shit.
Yeah.
And the other guy's like, so are we done with that then?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I guess we're done with that.
No, I just like, I'm always trying to be a better listener,
Yeah.
And so part of that is like, because I hate when people do, if I'm having a conversation with somebody and they change a subject and it's like, hey, I wasn't finished.
Oh yeah. I totally understand.
Yeah.
What I assume you wanted to say is that this is episode 14. Is it 14?
14, yeah.
Of Here's My Question for You.
You've really taken over the duties of...
I don't know. just
No, I'm not complaining. That's fine. I think it's good. You're blossoming. I don't have to be the MC necessarily.
Yeah, well, you got the MC voice.
Yeah.
I wish that I had, but it's it's.
Yeah. You have a better basement though. What would you rather have? My voice or your basement? Come on.
Your voice, probably.
Oh, please. Oh, no. So what I was going to say, though, because, remember when we recorded that little intro last time for the Supercut, and you were wondering how long. So that's turned into a huge pain in my posterior.
Can they not?
No, it's okay. It's okay now. I don't know why. It's just like, it should be so simple. I just took 11 already exported videos, put them together in a timeline, and then hit export. And Final Cut was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, why? And it's just like, I don't know.
Did you not have the hard drive space for it?
No, I got plenty of hard drive space. And so I was like, okay, you don't want to do it? Okay, that's fine. So then I took all the files and I put them, I was doing this on my laptop, right? So I'd put it on my editing computer, which has like infinite hard drive space and like infinite gigs of RAM, basically. And I loaded all the same stuff. I tried to export it, and it's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. No explanation, just like, nah, not today. And so then I had to figure out, and then I tried to put it through, there's this program called Compressor, and we talked about that before.
Yeah.
I tried to put it through Compressor, and Compressor chewed on it for like 2 days and didn't finish it. It's like
It was like, nope.
I was like, hey, Compressor, you done with that? He's like, nah, I'm still kind of working on it. I'm like, all right. And so finally I told it to just stop. And I figured out I had to change some settings, but now it exported. But you were wondering how big it was going to be. It's 166 gigabytes. So it's not. That's not egregious. That's manageable.
No.
So I'm gonna start it uploading today before I leave, and I'm sure by the time I get home it'll be done. Mm-hmm. So,
what's kind of cool is like it gives you. I mean, I assume that CGQ Plus is like obviously with that many views and that many subscribers, it's like it's monetized, so you'll be able to, you should put ad breaks in between each one of those.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh,
sorry.
I think you should.
No, I already thought about this. Like, because I have a pretty firm belief that if you don't monetize a video, it's going to get like down regulated in the algorithm. So like I have to monetize it if I want people to see it. But I'm just going to there'll be ads at the front, there'll be ads 15 hours later at the back, and some overlaid ads because who cares? But no, I don't want to put ad breaks.
Oh, okay.
Because here's the thing: if you put a break between the episodes, that's like one ad break every like hour and a half. That's not. You're not making any money anyways.
Like,
all you're doing is annoying
it for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I hear what you're saying, but like I'm trying to. The point of uploading that video is to try to like hey, in case you didn't know we're doing this,
right?
Here's this thing, and so like you don't need to annoy. Like I would not monetize it at all if it wasn't for the fact that I think that it's going to limit the video's reach, which is probably already going to be limited. Because who knows what the algorithm thinks about a 15-hour-long video. Anyways, and then you saw I showed you that I got that message on Patreon about perhaps getting a jingle for Does It Slap or Should We Eat It? I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited too.
I don't want to say the guy's name or anything just because I don't want to put any pressure on him. Like if he does it, cool. If he doesn't do it, he's a longtime friend of the show, so. Either way, but I have my list here in front of me for Does It Slap or Should We Eat It?
All right, I'm ready.
You did it last week, and I'll say this: you're wearing a very appropriate shirt today.
Well, that's interesting because like I'm definitely a Pong poser, I guess. Like I didn't really, like I never really liked it. It's just that Kroger. The supermarket chain, has this big rack of T-shirts that are usually $20, but every time if you have like a Kroger Plus card, it's like these T-shirts are $8. So I always look to see what they have, and sometimes they have something like kind of like interesting, and like if it's like the right kind of softness. I saw this Pong, and it's like $8. Like I could like it's kind of like who is even the audience that they're trying to sell that $8 T-shirt to?
Don't you
like
think it's
people
guys
that are like
us?
older than me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean we're a little bit too young. Like we're mid 40s. We're a little bit too young for Pong. Yeah,
right.
That's true.
But I just think it's kind of funny that like they're selling this distressed logo Pong T-shirt, and then
Well, because that way it looks like you probably bought that back in like 1979
back when it
or
was
something.
when it was new.
When I was,
I bet it would be a lot more comfortable if I did.
it would be.
Not
Yeah,
that it's
it'd be
not- not that it's
100% cotton
uncomfortable.
for starters.
Yeah.
When I was in like junior high and high school, I don't know if you know on the flashback videos, I talked about my friend Stuart because he was the one that I got into computers and became friends with him because he had a computer and his dad worked for Sierra and all that garbage. But he had, I remember, I used to hang out at his house a lot. And one time he goes into like the hall closet and pulls out, like they had an old Pong machine.
Whipped out his Pong.
Yeah. And we plugged it in and played it. It was fun, but it was like one of those, like, where, it was a pretty big, I mean, compared to what, I don't know, but I'm saying like it didn't have controllers, right? Like the two knobs were just on the unit.
Right, on
so
the
you
machine,
just plug the
yeah.
unit into the wall, plug the unit into your TV, and it's 2-player only, right? Because it's not like there was AI in there that could play against you.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, are you ready for this installment of Does It Slap or Should We Yeet It?
I'm ready. Hit me.
And I'll say this. I had a different list in my head that I was going to go with.
So you saw this shirt.
But then, no. But then I forgot that you had said that you want the 3 things to be unrelated.
Okay.
Because these 3 things were completely related, which I think made it even more
I think that's
difficult.
okay for us to do that every once in a while.
Okay, but I like this one. I like this list better. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Thing number 1. Everybody wants to rule the world by Tears for Fears.
Oh, jeez.
Now, in my opinion, I think, and I don't know, maybe if you ask me tomorrow and I have a different opinion, I think that is the single greatest song from the 80s, as far as that style of music goes.
Yeah. And you
I
know
mean-
what? I will listen to it every single time I hear it on the radio. My daughter loves that song. That song is at the end of the classic movie Real Genius
Yes.
with Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yes. But
It's gonna be
I think as far as like when you think of 80s music, I would say. Because like I've said
Yes.
this before, but like in my opinion, Michael Jackson's Thriller is the single greatest pop song ever made. But that's not 80s music to me, right? 80s
Right.
music
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah,
this
yeah.
new
I
wave
understand what
kind
you
of, So,
So
but,
that
yeah.
is the big question. It's like, is Everyone Wants to Rule the World the definitive 80s song?
It is for me. It just checks all the boxes for an 80s song,
Yes.
and it also sounds incredible. That whole album is incredible, but
Yes.
that song especially. Anyway, all right, that's thing number 1. Thing number 2, graphic tees.
Graphic tees, like something like this.
Yes, graphic T-shirts. Graphic.
Yes.
Yes, which you seem to wear every day.
Does it have to have
No, just any graphic.
nothing on the back? Only things on the front. I hate when
you're getting
shirts don't
way
have
more
things on
into
the
the
back.
weeds than I
Okay. But graphic tees, okay.
just graphic tees. Like you can never wear a shirt with it could be embroidered, like a little logo.
But it couldn't have stuff on it. It couldn't have like
Right. Like you can have a pocket or you can have a little embroidered logo on the breast. That's it.
you don't need it. It can't be a shirt. I mean, shirts they advertise like, "Hey, I like this thing." It's
Right.
Like these shirts are just telling.
Well, you don't
people
even
that,
like
hey,
Pong though, you just said. So that's, I don't even
Yeah.
like this thing, but I want people to think that I do. Is what you're doing today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which I think is the definition of being a hipster.
Yeah.
I
I
like
did live in
something because it's
Williamsburg
cool
for
to like.
10 years, so maybe I'm allowed to say that.
You did what?
I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, which is like
Oh, yes. Hipster capital of the universe. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. That's thing number 2. Thing number 3, SD cards larger than 64 gigabytes.
Oh, jeez. This is like impossible
I know. I loved the third one is my favorite.
because it's like
Because
can
I
you
thought about
imagine
that,
life
Yeah.
without that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, how much can you record? It's 64 gigs. You're always
So if you're
going
going
to
to use anything
against
larger
it.
than that, it's got to be like a USB,
Yes,
like a,
you
like,
can.
like a USB drive.
Yeah,
or
because I know
something
you've
like
got your little Ninja Atmos, whatever. I don't-
Right.
That's probably not right. But yeah, you can still use that. And like the GH5 has 2 SD card slots, so you can shotgun 64 gig cards.
that. Yeah.
So I don't want to, if I said like you can never use an SD card, that's ridiculous. But
Right.
this puts you in just enough of a predicament. Well, you can have that, or if you want to have, that, you can never wear a graphic T-shirt again. But who never wants to hear "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" again? It's a tough one.
Yeah. So I think I will yeet the SD cards, because I feel like if 64 is a pretty decent amount, and I feel as though if you couldn't go over 64 gigs with that, they would streamline other technologies to make up for it.
Yeah, and that's like an hour and a half of recording, almost.
Yeah, I mean, in
it's
reality,
a lot.
yeah. But I'm just thinking about stuff like in the Mister, or oh
wow, I didn't even think about
and stuff like that.
I didn't even think about. I was only thinking about cameras. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, just anything that takes SD cards, even just EverDrives, with all the the Mega Drive Plus or the MSU. MD, just all that
how big
stuff.
is the complete N64 ROM set?
I think I have 256, and that's probably too much.
Yeah.
Right now it's impossible to get SD cards that are under 32 gigs. It's almost unheard of to be able to buy them.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so we're yeeting the SD cards.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's down to graphic tees.
Graphic tees and everyone wants to rule the world. Oh, geez, that's so. I mean, most of my identity is tied behind my graphic tees. I don't even know
true.
What I would do. But
you're just sort of a pod with a graphic T-shirt on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But never hearing. So, are we getting would we be living in a world where everyone wants to rule the world does not exist, or it's just we had it now? It's all recordings of it have disappeared forever.
I would just say no. It's just you can never hear it again. Something happens to your brain where it's if that song starts playing, you go temporarily deaf.
Jeez.
But you can play the song in your head. I'm playing it in my head right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here. I'm going to say in a way I kind of want to reverse my answer. I might yeet graphic tees and everyone wants to rule the world and go with the SD cards and keep the SD cards.
Wow.
Because I think that is more useful in my day-to-day life.
Right.
And, not all my shirts are graphic tees.
Yeah.
I'm okay wearing blank T-shirts. I mean, is there anything cooler than being a cool guy wearing black jeans and a black T-shirt, blank with nothing on it? That's a pretty cool look to have if you can pull it off.
I'm not a fan of black jeans personally.
Well, I don't have a pair of black jeans, but I mean, if
I would
someone
replace
can pull that off.
I would replace that with dark blue jeans and a black T-shirt.
Okay.
Now you're talking.
Yes, but I mean, is there a better T-shirt?
Yeah.
Than just a plain black T-shirt.
I own 9 of them, so I mean, I'm not.
So I mean, you can not have something on it, and I think that just a plain black T-shirt makes its own kind of statement.
I think if you're going to wear a T-shirt with nothing on it, black's the way to go.
Yeah. So
I really don't wear graphic tees, so I'm not,
Right. But I know it's something I like, but I feel as though I can comfortably get rid of those.
Yeah.
And I've been wearing these true classic T-shirts that my wife got me that are super comfortable, but they're just blank T-shirts.
Yeah.
And they're amazing.
What's your stance on shirts with pockets? Like a T-shirt with a little pocket sewn on? Is that a selling point for you, or is that
if I was skinnier, I'd say, yeah, like pockets. But I feel as though.
What do you think that's got to do with anything?
Because I don't know. It just like doesn't.
I mean, I'm fatter than
It
you, and
doesn't-
I have a pocket, so I don't. But it's underneath this, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I
Like
mean,
the
I don't
T-shirt
know. Like,
under
I-
here is like, got a pocket.
right.
I'm saying.
I mean, like I could take it or leave it.
Like
I don't
use
feel
the,
as though
I don't use the pocket, but I just feel like it helps break up the shirt a little bit.
Yeah, but I could take it or leave it. Like it's not like I'm going to use it.
Yeah, right.
Unless
No, I
I'm,
don't use it.
Doing something in the moment where I need to use it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with the SD. I'm going to keep the SD cards and get rid of the other two.
Okay.
In a total reversal, because I just think the SD cards, they're too useful.
Well, that's kind of what I thought when I came up with the list. I'm like, that's the pragmatic one.
Right.
Like that would probably affect your daily life more if you
Yes.
yeeted that one.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd hope that the technology would evolve from that. In in a lot of ways, they probably even last that long. Their shelf life is probably not very high when you think about it. I mean,
I don't
they're
feel
not
like I've
gonna
ever had
last,
an SD card go bad on me. I had one that kind of fell apart.
right. Well, that's exactly
But,
it. I think that it would fall apart
Yeah.
over time. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sad to get rid of Everyone Wants to Rule the World,
Yeah.
but as long as we're not losing the rest of the Tears for Fears catalog, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of Break It Down Again. That's a good one. And Sowing the Seeds of Love is a very good song. But if I can still hear those, if I can hear the rest of their music, then I'm okay with that.
Yes. You can hear the rest of the album. You just go temporarily deaf when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be disappointing, but I'd get over it.
Yeah. Speaking of pragmatic, I was thinking about buying one of these, but I was thinking you should get one too if you don't already have one, because it'd be more useful for you. I want to get a cough button. You know, a cough button?
Is it a button? Oh, is it like it'll mute the audio for a second?
Yeah, like you plug your XLR cable from the mic into the cough button and then out of the cough button into your recorder, and if you push the button, you temporarily are muted. Like broadcasters use those.
Yeah.
Like if you're in radio or if you're like a sports broadcaster.
Yeah.
And you can push it,
Are they expensive?
Not particularly, no. Because I was just thinking, like, there's just times where, I know you're envious of my sexy baritone voice, but sometimes it gets irritated. I got to, like, clear my throat more than some people do. Mm-hmm. And so like, I try to just put my hand, go like this, put my hand over the microphone and like, but if I could just push a button, that'd be great. And I was thinking, since you do your live streams every, because then you could start cough buttoning
Well, I mean, I could. So my mixer that I have, my Mackie 10 or the Pro FX 10 V3, it has mute buttons for each of the inputs, so I can just hit this button.
Oh, see, I don't think.
And it has a.
Oh, then you're probably good. If it's within reach, then you're
that.
good. I don't have that, but I didn't know those were a thing until I heard Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald, the late great Norm Macdonald. Was on an episode of Howard Stern a long time ago, and him and Artie told this story about Bob Uecker. You know Bob Uecker? Mm-hmm. That, like he was on Mr.
Major League. He was in Major League.
He was in Major League. He was on Mr. Belvedere, but he was the voice.
Mr. Belvedere.
Like the reason he was on Major League is that like he was the voice. I think he still is the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers. Like he does their radio.
Right.
He was a catcher. In the major leagues, but he has a very sort of well-crafted public image, I would say. But according to Norman Artie, he's like not like that. Like in private, he said he's like the filthiest person they'd ever met. Like they said he's hilariously funny, but he's absolutely filthy. And he was saying, they were telling the story about like they got to go sit in the booth with him while he was calling a spring training Milwaukee Brewers game. And he was saying that Bob Uecker would use the cough button to like say filthy things during the broadcast.
That's kind of funny then. So he just interject little things, but
just
mute it.
Yeah, but just complete filth and just hit the button.
Well, we could do that, but it would be like we can just edit it out if we wanted to, but that would actually take some effort.
Well, that's not. I want to use a cough button for its actual purpose.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I wouldn't have even known the cough button was a thing. I just never, it's the kind of thing you don't really think about.
Right,
you know?
right.
So, because I don't, with my current setup, I don't have the means to use a cough button.
Yeah. So, hey, I got a question.
Do you have a question for me?
I was a little bit, I do have a question for you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's
it's
pretty simple.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever talked about this, but have you ever like had any surgeries?
Yes.
Tell me about like the first surgery, because I just went to the dentist and I like had a little bit of work done on my front tooth. I was really nervous about it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's levels of surgery, right? I mean,
that's not like this is not like a surgery, but that, you know, I was just thinking about it. I was like, oh, that'd be a good thing to talk about if you've had any surgeries, and I'm interested to hear about like some of your surgeries.
Well, I only had one like that I would consider like actual, you know, like in an operating room. Like, you know, I've had like dental work done, like where you know, I got generally anesthetized or whatever to have my wisdom teeth pulled out, which I don't know why they did that, but I was in high school, and so
anesthetized, like
anesthetized is the word. Yeah,
that's like the word.
I don't think you would, but you know, you use like general anesthesia means that you got
right.
knocked out. I don't think that generally anesthetized is a term. I think I made that up, but anesthetized, I believe, is one. But so I got, you know, I was in high school and I didn't have any say. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to knock you out and pull your teeth out. And I was like, okay, you know, I don't know. But then I think actually the same thing happened to my wife. Now I think about it, because we were together already when she got her wisdom teeth pulled out, and like she was knocked out. But like, I guess technically that's surgery, but that's not. Like surgery is like you're getting like cut open or something.
Yes.
You know.
So have you been cut open?
Kind of. But this is maybe better, actually. This is
okay.
So I kind of mentioned this on my show at one point. I was talking about the album Faith by George Michael. Mm-hmm. And I love that album, but I mentioned that it kind of got, I think I said something nebulous, like it got me through a hard time or whatever, but
is the music video for Faith the one that's just like the close up on his butt the whole time?
There's a lot of his butt. I don't think I would say it's the whole time, but I mean,
like
I guess that's what
a significant portion of the music.
I guess
video.
that's what you took away from the video. But I think
that's the only thing I remember about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
but that whole album is excellent though. But anyway, so I was born with like I don't know if you call it a birth defect. I don't know why. I don't know what else you would call it. Where you know, your eyeballs, right? You have on the outside of your eyeballs and the inside of your eyeballs, you have muscles.
Right.
And that's what moves your eyeball around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was born, I only had like the muscles on the outside of my left eye didn't work. Like
so
they were
have
like
a
paralyzed.
lazy eye type thing? Like
but it's not lazy eye is like, this is different. It's
okay.
I guess it's in the same category or something. It's a little bit different. So like I could move my eye between the center and towards the inside, but I couldn't, because like, you know, the muscles in here do most of the work for that, but like I couldn't move my eye past the center, right?
So it was impossible to give someone the side eye on your left.
That's correct. I had to always go like, you know, and I mean, even now it doesn't work correctly, like 100%. Like I think like when I talk to people, like my face, my head's turned to one side a little bit, because that's when I can get my eyeballs to line up correctly. Like if I look at someone like dead on, I have double vision.
Oh wow!
And so it's like, but I don't even
like a cross-eyed type thing. Like
that's different. That's different too. Although that's what the kids call me.
Okay.
So thanks for bringing that up.
Cross-eyed Chris, they called you,
or just like they'd say I was cross-eyed. I don't think I ever. Cross-eyed Chris would have been good. I don't think anybody was ever creative enough to come up with that. But anyway. So I had different little, like they tried treatments when I was a kid. Like I remember they put an eye patch over my good eye, like thinking that they were going to, you know, well, if you can't see out of this eye, then maybe that will like get the other eye working. I don't really, none of that worked anyway. So when I was in like 5th grade, there was this doctor at Stanford University who developed this surgical technique for correcting that. It's a very rare thing. It's a syndrome, you know, they say it's a syndrome, but it's very, very rare, right? So like, for somebody to develop a technique was like, oh, whoa. Like I remember, this is a side story, I guess, but I never joined the Army, but I almost did. Like I went to like a what do they call the enlistment station? I got a full like Army physical and everything. Because when I was a senior in high school, I thought about joining the Army. And, you know, like Army recruiters, like, listen, you're just doing your job. I'm not making any like, judgments on their character. But I mean, Army recruiters have one job, and that's to sign up as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So if you go to an Army recruiter and there are things about you that technically aren't going to pass in a physical, one of their jobs is like coaching you on like how to BS your way through the system. Right. So he's telling me, okay, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. And so like, I remember I took this Army physical and there was this doctor lady and, you know, she got, you know, like a pencil out and was like having me follow it with my eyes and whatnot. And she's like, and like, she makes some notes. And then like towards the end of it, I remember getting a piece of paper. And I mean, he even warned me, he's like, you know, you might get busted for something. Like, or you might get flagged for something in your physical, but like, there's ways to like appeal it or whatever. So like, don't worry about it. But like this lady, like I got this piece of paper and it literally named exactly what I had by name.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, how the F? Like, that's so rich. It's like, how did you even know that? You know? And I remember I kind of freaked out, you know, and I told the guy, I'm like, she knew what it was. And he's like, dude, you need to calm down. But anyway, I ended up never joining the Army anyways. But I don't even know why I told that story, except it just reminded me of it. But so, just because it's so rare. And it was like, how does she even know that? But so anyway, like I said, I was in 5th grade and there was this doctor guy that could do this stuff or whatever. And so my hated stepmother, the only nice thing she ever did for me is she drove me to San Francisco because that's where, like, there was a hospital in San Francisco where he would actually do the procedure. And she drove me there and we had to get a hotel or whatever for the night. But, you know, the day we got there is the day I had the surgery. And I was, like I said, so I would have been like 11, not even 11. I was like, it was probably like a month before my 11th birthday. And I had to go to the hospital and like wait in the waiting room for a while and then like, you know, get taken into some prep room and put the gown on and everything. And it was just the whole thing was just so scary for me. Like I was afraid I was going to die or whatever, you know, and I remember getting like put on the gurney and like wheeled into the operating room. And, but I don't know why. I think, didn't I mention this when we did the What's Grosser Than Gross episode? Yes. When they stuck the needle in my eye, not in my eye, but between my eye and like my skull. Like in
the, but were you asleep
like where my tear duct was?
Yes. Were you asleep or awake?
No, I was awake.
That's like the most horrifying
Like I think
thing.
they must have done some kind of like local numbing kind of thing.
Could you even like see it coming down at you?
Kinda, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's like that sounds.
How are you going to do that?
That sounds like a nightmare right there. Like that sounds like something that you would never forget.
Yes. But anyway, so and then they knocked me out or whatever. I don't remember anything. But I mean, didn't I mention that like they actually had to pop my eyeball out of the socket?
Yes.
Because how else are you going to get to that? It's like you pop it out, and then you can get to the muscles and do whatever they did, and then they just like pop it back in, you know. And but you know, I remember waking up in like a recovery room.
Like, wouldn't it be funny if it like made like a boop, like a cartoon sound effect when they popped it back in?
It would be funny, yeah.
It'd be like living in a world where things actually sounded like cartoon sound effects. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Would we just accept it if like
Roger Rabbit or something? It would be like
it's
that.
Like,
I think.
Boop.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was just it was just a scary scary thing, you know.
Yeah.
But it was like we had that because I think that album had just come out, and so we had the cassette tape, and it was in the car stereo like that whole day, and then like we got a hotel room or whatever because like they discharged me that night, and like it was like what you see on TV, like I had to go out in a wheelchair because it's like hospital protocol, like everybody in that kind of state gets wheeled out to a car, like in a wheel. You're not allowed to walk out, And then, I spent the night in a hotel bed, and then I don't remember if we had like a follow up the next day or not. Probably that would make sense. And then we drove home. But that's the only time I've ever had surgery at that sort of what I would consider surgery. But I just remember it was just very terrifying, for me as a kid.
Yes, I mean, that sounds pretty terrifying. I mean, it sounds like terrifying no matter what age you are.
Yeah. And just because I can't pass the opportunity to throw some shade, my stepmother was a horrible, horrible person. And so anytime I would point that out to her subsequent to that, she would always go, well, you remember that time that I took you to
It's like always
that was her one
fallback.
thing. Yep, that was her one thing that she could say, oh, but
Like,
I did
wasn't
this
always
for you.
mean to you. Remember this one thing that I ever did in your entire life that was good?
Exactly.
It was, maybe that was like the one day where she said, maybe I need to turn things around here.
Yeah. No. She got even worse after that.
Oh, really?
Well, so, I have a sister, but, and I hate people always do this. Like, oh, you
should
mean
have your
half
sister on this show.
she's your half sister. Cause like we have the same father, but like my stepmother is my sister's mother. Right. So whenever I say that,
okay.
people are like, oh, so she's your half. I don't consider her my half sister. She's just my sister,
Okay.
like who cares?
Are you guys pretty close or?
No, not at all.
Oh, so
just
she
because like
wouldn't be on this podcast.
I bet she probably would, but it's just like, I don't know, like we don't even really know each other that well, just because like, I don't know. We don't have.
Does she live close by you?
No, she used to live here in Sacramento, but then she moved to Seattle, and now she's in like Thailand or something. Like she's.
Oh wow.
She's kind of like a bohemian chick, like she's a little hippie kind of thing, and she's just like, oh, I'm gonna go travel the world for a while, which I admire. Like I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
We don't have any kind of issue with each other. It's just like we didn't really grow up together because like,
yeah,
I got out of that house as soon as I could.
Yeah.
And then when my dad passed away, I never wanted to go visit because I was just trying to stay away from my stepmother.
Yeah.
But
and there's just like at that point, there's just no reason to.
Well, the thing is, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done things like I had no idea. But like, I always thought my stepmom was a horrible person to me. Mm-hmm. But like after my father died, she turned into like an absolutely horrible mother to my sister.
Oh,
and I had no idea. Like my sister told me about it like way later, like when she was an adult.
And that sucks
because it made me feel awful because it's like I wish I could have been there for her.
And it's like her mother.
Yeah.
So that makes it even.
But I was also, I was in high school, like I was just a teenager, so it's not like now or, teenagers are very you don't really think of the world beyond yourself, right? So it never even really occurred to me to think like, oh, how's my sister doing? Like maybe I would call her on the phone and talk to her every once in a while, but,
Well.
Anyway, that took a dark turn.
It did. I mean, like since I mentioned my teeth, do you have a lot of fillings or anything like that?
No,
you take pretty good care of your teeth.
I would say that I'm very lucky that I don't really have to. Like I have like
you
my
never
dentist
had braces or anything like that.
No, I had braces.
Oh, really?
Like
okay.
But I'm saying like my dentist once told me I had the hardest teeth he'd ever seen.
Oh, I'm envious.
So like I've only ever had, I think, I've had 2 fillings, but one of them was so shallow I didn't even have to get numbed.
Oh wow!
Like they just zzz, into the enamel a little bit and then like spackled it up and polished it and like you can go. He looked at it and was like, I don't even have to numb you for this one. And I think I was well into my 30s by the time I had my first cavity.
Dang.
So
I mean, I had a lot. I mean, not a lot, but I mean, a handful. Like when I was like growing up, and I've never had to have braces. My brother had to have braces, but not me. And I'm very paranoid about my teeth, and like I take decent enough care of them. But what had happened is like one of my front left tooth. I mean, if you're my left,
yes.
I mean, nothing really happened with it, but like part of it had kind of like been ground down a little bit, so it was like kind of like at an angle a little bit here, and it just like really really bothered me. I had a real problem with, or kind of still do, like grinding my teeth like in my sleep, and because of that, like a lot of my teeth are kind of like flat around it, and I had to get a couple of years ago I had to get a mouth guard.
Oh,
but there's just like something about my front tooth, and I think it only happened in like the last like 4 or 5 years, and I don't know how it happened, but probably because whenever like there was a period of time where my son was like getting in bed with my wife and I like in the middle of the night, and he like is such a crazy sleeper. Like he like kicks all the covers off of everybody like down to the end of the bed.
He's got the Jimmy legs, like Kramer said.
Oh, I mean that's yeah. He's just like pushes off, and like there is a period of time in my life where if I would wake up, when I would get woken up in the middle of the night, like I would get like so angry at him doing that because I'm just like uncontrollable, and I would like grip my teeth like kind of sideways, like like move, you know.
Oh. So you're saying this is his fault?
In a roundabout.
That's what I'm hearing.
I mean, his birthday is next week. He's going to be 8, but I want him to come back to this in 30 years and be like.
That's like an interesting question. Do you think like when your kids get older, they're going to be interested in like watching your old YouTube videos or like listening, like maybe after we're dead, well, or you're dead and don't care about me.
I mean, I thought
maybe it'll
about
be
that.
like just to, you know, like I always kind of wonder that. Like my wife doesn't watch my show, but I wonder if like when I'm dead, I wonder if she would go watch my show just to, or maybe it would be too painful, you know.
Like in a weird way, I've actually thought about that quite a bit, thinking about how. You know, like maybe if I was to die like soon and my kids like grew up and like when they're my age, would they somehow be able to see this stuff and then like learn more about me and like kind of understand more stuff? But you know, like our regular episodes like really don't have a lot of like me, like my life. I mean, it's funny. It's called My Life in Gaming, but it's like not about that. But
there's like your life.
What I was going to like talk about way earlier. And then we got sidetracked, but it was when I talked about working on the website. So I went back through and I added all of our like we did like a bunch of like bonus videos like throughout like 2018, 2019, sometimes in 2020, where it's just like video logs where we were releasing one every single week. And really we were just sitting on the camera and it's like, hey, let's look at this thing for a little bit. And it's just like very casual.
Yeah.
And like that stuff is just like me talking about. It's very much like, I guess, CGQ Plus, but like not nearly as good. It's just me like rambling where I said, I'm going to make something and I don't want to spend more than 2 hours total on it. And I'll release one every single week.
Yeah.
And that's like a lot more like me in there. And I think that I wonder if my kids will ever watch that and be like, oh, you know, I can see this moment in time.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I can only speak for myself and just say that like I have home videos of my dad, and like I won't watch them. Like I still have them, you know, like VHS tapes, but I can't. Like I can't watch them. Like I never have. Like ever since he died when I was 14,
and you just can't.
And I've had them. I refuse to put one on.
Is it just? Do you think it'd just be too painful to watch, or is it?
Yeah, definitely.
It makes me think about like how, you know, the channel My Retro Life. Like I wonder how it is for him, like watching all these videos of his dad, him and his dad, like for years. Like it's got to be.
I mean, different people are different.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think I'm a bad combination of like most of my family has passed away, and I don't have the kind of personality or whatever to properly like deal with that, you know.
So you just, you know, keep it in. Eventually, one day, like maybe one day, you'll be like, I'm going to do this, and it might be like one of the hardest things you ever do, I guess. But or do you just keep this stuff? And I mean, if you can, you should try to preserve it if possible, in some way. Like maybe just like take it someplace and have them do something with them.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like I don't have kids, and like even if I did have kids, they would never have met them. So it's just like. It's the same way I feel about all my stuff.
Do you think that your sister would like this? Like
she has. I think she. I mean, I can't say for sure because I don't know where it is. But like, you know, when her and my stepmom had way more. Like I only have like a handful of pictures of my dad. And then the only home movies I have are the ones that I shot.
I see. So you're and you're talking to him a bunch during it, probably.
Yeah. Because he, like, you know, he bought a camcorder and, like, he took tons of home video. Like, there's home videos of, like, my birthday parties and stuff like that. And I don't even know if those still exist. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if my stepmom just threw them out just from not caring. But I don't know. I don't know.
You know, I have this videotape that we recorded at my dad's house, like the summer. It's like summer between third and fourth grade for me and my brother and I. My dad had this camcorder that had to be hooked up to a VCR, and we would go to my dad's house every Saturday.
That's what we had. It was like he had to wear the VCR like on a strap around his shoulder, and the camera was. So maybe it's similar.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a VCR that like the top pops open, but he just like ran like an AV cord like out of the camera like into it. So we just do it in his living room. But you know, he had a big picture window and he had like kind of a yard outside, so we would point it like out like the window and like go outside and goof off. I mean, I have it like on my personal YouTube channel, like it's like set to like unlisted and private and stuff.
Just so your family can see it or something. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like reached this this legendary status between my brother and I, just because I mean the thing is almost 6 hours long. You know, it's like we would do it every single Saturday, and there's one part where we like get in a fight on it. My brother's like really, really mean to me at one point, and like he like attacks me, and then I take him down, and my dad has to like pull me, pull him off or pull me off him.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually like a long time ago when we first started the channel, we did this like those how to beat videos where it's like the VHS stuff.
Yeah, you sent me one of those.
Yeah, and there's a segment in the one that we did on the AVGN game,
and what game?
There's like. What's that?
What game?
The Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures.
Oh, okay, right.
And there's like a level that's like, you know, is like full of like, it's like I don't know, it's like inside like a Custer's Revenge, like a porn game.
Right.
So I was like, well, if we want to like make this so it's for kids, you know, like how do I skip this level if I want to show the entire thing? So what I did is. I interjected when it gets to that point in the game. I interjected this clip of my brother and I like fighting, like we put the tape in and started recording on it, and then, you know, when it goes back to the thing, it's like that level's over.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of clever. It was like a clever workaround for it.
Do you think that's on the tape you sent me? Do you remember which one you sent me?
It's like in the it's in the episode.
Okay.
I mean, I can link you to it, but I mean, it's just my brother. He's just like in a really bad mood that day.
Yeah.
And
does your brother know you did that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, we talk about this all the time. I mean, all my friends, like growing up, you know, when we were teenagers, like we all watched it and thought it was funny because my brother's like, you know, he's like stupid, and I go, I'm not stupid. You're stupid. I can do what I want. And that like that's what set him off. He like came over and like attacked me.
You're not the boss of me.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I'm not stupid. You're stupid. I mean, like that's a pretty good comeback.
Oh, I'm rubber, you're glue kind of stuff.
So I said, I'm not stupid. You're stupid, and I can do what I want. And then he like comes at me and attacks me, and I like take him down, and I'm like, Urgh! And my dad has to like, he's like, my dad was painting a bookcase like in the background. And he like had to sit down and stuff. He pulls me off of him, and he's like, "You like that?" And then he reaches over and hits stop on the recorder.
Wow.
And then it comes back, and I'm just like by myself.
Yeah.
Screwing around. And there's something about it. Like I think I remember when that happened, because after that he like disappeared into the woods for a while.
Your brother?
Yes. Okay. And then came back, and he was like over it. He was like totally nice and cool for the rest of the day. So I don't know if it was just
that's a very
mood.
Healthy way of dealing with that.
Yeah. Well,
like I gotta go for a walk, take a breather, get out of my system. Yeah. That's good.
Well, my dad had this house that he spent a number of years building. He built this house, and then he like stopped working on it for like years and years and years. So it had like a spiral staircase in it, and it had like this balcony. The balcony had like no railing on it, just like never did. And you know, it was just like a cool place to record at. And I remember that house because like there was like a bunch of land in back, and there was like woods, and when you go back there, it had like this very steep hill into like a drop off, and then there's like a creek and stuff back there, and it was like really fun to go sledding in there if you didn't like hit like run in any trees. But what is kind of interesting about that whole area is that where the creek is, there was like these like stone ruins of like there used to be a house there, like a stone house.
Like maybe in like colonial times or something.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of, it was fascinating that it was there because you don't even, it wasn't that long ago, really.
Yeah.
And it looked like the house either just like crumbled or like it blew up or something. But there was like, it was over a like a creek, and there's like a stone bridge and stuff.
Wow.
And so he would go disappear back there. Like I think about that house a lot because my dad never finished it until like he sold it. He's like, all right, I want to sell it and I got to finish it.
Yeah.
And I think about it a lot, and I wish that I could go back there and like walk around, see if that stuff is still there. I mean, I'm sure you have like a lot of places like that where you wish you could go back to certain places that you have vivid memories of like a long time ago. And
I mean, I guess I'm kind of, I won't say lucky, but like unlike you, like I've always lived in like the same, I don't know, 100-mile radius my whole life.
So you could go back to any of these places if you really wanted to.
Yeah, and I have before, but I feel like it's one of those things where like it seems like a good idea until you do it, and I don't know. It just makes me sad. I go to places and it just makes me sad. Like I go to a house I used to live in, or I go to an elementary school I used to go to, and it ends up not really being a positive experience for me.
It's just sad. So, I mean, that is, I guess that's kind of true. You go back to these old places and it's just sadness. I mean, I can understand why you don't want to watch those home videos. And
well, it's just for the same reason. It's just, like I already have to kind of carry that grief around with me all the time. And it's just like, if I have to go to a place like that where I have to remember, oh, this was the driveway where my dad and I would play quarters against the bricks or whatever. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah. I mean, I guess I see that kind of stuff because when my mom sold her house, it must have been like 6 or 7 years ago. And the people who bought it, I don't know like why I did this, but like I messaged them on Facebook and became friends with them. And I can see like all the stuff that they've done with this house I grew up in.
Yeah.
And it's like fascinating at the same time as like it's really sad. It's like, oh, like I remember sitting there when I unwrapped my Sega CD on Christmas morning, and just like certain things like, oh, they knocked down this wall, and we used to have these parties for all the neighbors on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And there's like a fireplace like in the entryway, and I just remember the only time we ever had a fire was when we would have that Christmas Eve party. And I see that fireplace, I just think about the Christmas Eve party.
See, like, so when I was born, my parents lived in this house, and then, they split up, but my mom stayed in that house until it was like the summer between 7th and 8th grade. Mm-hmm. Right. So like my dad would move around a lot, like I'll stay in this place for a year or two, and then we're going to move into this other house, or he'd move to a different town to take some other job, because the industry he worked in, it's like, I'm going to work here. But then if I jump over to here, I'm going to make more money, and then jump over there and make more, that kind of stuff, But my mom lived in the same house, like I said, until I was like 13. And so like that's when I think about my childhood, that's like the main house I think about. And, part of me would love to be able to just go into that house again.
And just walk around it and just...
But it's not going to look like it did when I lived there. Like there's no way, like even, I mean, obviously the furniture naturally, but I'm saying like, who knows what kind of things they've done to the house to change it.
Yeah.
And I don't,
and there's
I don't want to
people
see
think
that.
About that.
I don't
think that way about the house you live in.
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely.
And same with here, I'm sure,
Yeah. So I just think like some of those things, it's like have your like I've said this before, but I think your memories are your most precious it's not a possession, I guess, but
But it's like
that's why I feel like dementia and Alzheimer's is like the absolute worst thing,
right.
because that's taking the one thing that nobody could ever take from you, but that can,
Yeah.
And so I'm saying, but I'd rather have those, right? And I don't,
right.
because that can be painful enough. That's why I'm saying I don't want to watch home videos. I already have stuff in my head, and I don't.
Yes. Yeah.
What a dark episode of.
I know.
Here's my
like,
question for you. This turned out to
a
be
little bit more somber, and it's like I'm not gonna talk about it now, but it's like something I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about in the future. Is that you mentioned Alzheimer's? Like my dad is like pretty far into it at this point, into having Alzheimer's, and it's like a very real possibility. Like that's like it's his mom had it, and my dad had it, and like chances are that I probably will have it.
Well, let's hope not.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully it'll be, there'll be a cure for it or preventative aspects for it.
I mean, I don't know what the difference is between like Alzheimer's and dementia, or if that's just synonyms. But like my stepdad's like 93 or 94 or something like that, and he's had a bunch of like small strokes.
Oh, wow,
and like he doesn't really. Like, he knows who my mom is, but not all the time. And, like, I guess based on how memories work, like, he remembers everything about his life when he was young. But
like
he was
before he met her?
Yeah, because he was, like, 50 when he met my mom.
Yeah.
And sometimes he doesn't remember any of that. Like,
That's just, like, so crazy. It's so crazy
he knows that he knows my mom. And he knows that she takes care of him, but sometimes he doesn't know he doesn't remember who she is. And she has to tell him, like, I'm Janice, I'm your wife.
Like that's, I can't even imagine that. And just like you are this age, you remember stuff about being young, and then it's just like a huge gap of basically nothing.
Yeah.
That you don't remember. And that's really, really sad. And it's sad for both,
Absolutely, yes.
Like it would be sad just like, for someone you love to like not know who you were. Wait, like we have a history. We have years, like nearly 50 years of history.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah. So
this kind of, I noticed when we started talking about this about how like we both got like really quiet when we were talking.
Don't worry, I use a compressor on our voices. So it'll be okay.
I'm just talking about how like we got into is a bit more serious, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't know how it's going to be for people listening to it, but it's like I don't ever talk to anybody about that kind of stuff, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it feels. I mean, have you ever been to like a
not
therapist or anything?
When I was in, I talked about how I had like anxiety problems and panic attacks when I was in college. I went to a therapist then, but I haven't been to one since then.
Did it help out a lot then?
It helped me manage my anxiety. Yes, it helped with that. But I don't know. I just feel like this is probably a stupid thing to say. I don't really know, but because my wife has encouraged me, like you should go talk to, and she'll say like that she should too. She's not trying to say like, hey, you're screwed up, you should go talk to somebody. But sometimes when I get in one of my moods or whatever, it's not a mood, but I'll get a little depressed or something, and she'll be like, you should really go, talk to somebody. Yeah. And I just always feel like, I don't know, you tell me what you think, but it's just like, I know what's wrong with me, and I don't know what I'm supposed to, like, what do you, like?
Well, that's what they are there to do. It's just like, sometimes it's just about saying it out loud to somebody who like doesn't have any like point of reference for that. Like they're just there to like listen to you and give feedback and suggestions based on what you're giving them. And last year I went for a few months to somebody, and I feel I need to find somebody else, because I didn't really like the person was just like way too like laid back. Didn't really we didn't really like gel that well. And then I missed the day because we had like there was a big snowstorm and I couldn't make it. And I left a message saying, hey, can I reschedule? And he just like he never like contacted me to reschedule or anything. And I was like, well, I guess he doesn't.
Yeah,
but my wife like sees somebody, or not like does it virtually, but says that it's been, like she works through like a lot of stuff, like with like family and everything. Like it has been a huge thing, huge help for her. And she's always encouraging me to do it. Just, it doesn't even matter if you like feel like you totally need it. Sometimes it's just good to just like say that stuff out loud to somebody who, like it's not going to affect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I get it. I don't know. It just doesn't sound appealing to me. It just doesn't sound necessary. I just feel like things are what they are. And like, I think I do my best to compartmentalize it or whatever, or just live with it, but it's just like, I don't,
but I mean,
it's not like I have issues with people that are still alive that I'm trying to like have a better relationship with or anything like that. Or it's like, I think I manage my anxiety problem now. And so it's just like, I don't, like, what am I supposed to say? I think if I go to a therapist and say like, I miss my family, like,
well,
what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
They would probably say like, can you like probably give you ideas of like how to work through that and, like things that you can do to.
But do you here? Okay. This is going to get silly, but okay. Star Trek V, right? You had the Cybok guy who's like, I'm going to take your pain from you. Right. Mm-hmm. And remember what Captain Kirk says to him,
because of his son, right? His son dying.
Yeah. And I feel like it was this, to me, almost, it's like one of the best scenes ever, I think, in any Star Trek anything, is Captain Kirk telling Cybok why he doesn't want his services,
Right.
Because he tells him, I need my pain.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true for.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. But
like, I don't want to.
I think that by going to somebody, like, that's not taking that pain away. It's taking you, I mean, it's just teaching you to like process it in a way that is
maybe, I don't know,
maybe in ways that you didn't think that was possible. Maybe.
I'm still probably not going to do it.
I know. Okay. But you never know. Maybe one day you'll be like, okay, I'll give it. Might as well.
Maybe.
Just give it a shot. I mean, doesn't matter either way. I mean, like I said, I went for a little bit last year, and I would like to go back. I just haven't. It's covered under my health insurance, and I should do it.
Yeah, it's free.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, I wonder if like other things are covered under health insurance that people don't think about, like that is, but also like physical therapy, like massages and stuff are oftentimes like.
I don't want any. I'm not. I know my wife listens to the show, so it's probably going to sound like I'm just saying this to be, hey, look at me, but it's true. The only person I ever want touching me in any way is my wife. Like, I don't like even like hugging other people. Like, you meet people who are like huggers, you know, like, oh, give me and I'm talking about friends of mine who are like, oh, give me we're leaving. Give me a hug. And I'm like, oh, like I do it. Yeah. But it's like, it's like dancing with a girl before you hit puberty, and you're just like, you could drive a Volkswagen Beetle between the two of you. That's what I'm like. Just like, oh, I don't want to do that at all,
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, I enjoy it. I mean,
I've never had a massage.
I'm a big, like, I don't know. My wife always tells me that I'm like a cat. Like, I like to have, like, my back scratched or tickled or rubbed or whatever, like constantly. And so much so that after 13 years of marriage, she's like, it's like annoying every time like I ask.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's like, okay, so I can pay
my wife used to scratch my back a lot because I'm the
hour.
same way, but like she doesn't really want to do it anymore. And I get that. We've been together way too long. But then maybe I would rather pay someone to scratch my back.
Yeah, well,
I don't want a massage. But it's like, can I just show up and you have like long fingernails and like I'll have my back to you. This is not some kind of weird thing, and you're just gonna just put your hands under my shirt and just start scratching. And when it starts hurting, I'll give you your money and walk out.
Yeah,
that's a business idea.
I'm sure
that's
that
a business
exists.
idea for somebody. A back scratching parlor.
I'm sure that is. like offered.
Maybe.
But I'm sure that that's only part of the package if you choose to
Yeah.
for something else.
So you know what I was thinking while you were telling your story about beating up your brother.
Mm-hmm.
It made me think about like unsung heroes, in history, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you ever do anything and you're like, who figured this out?
I mean, all the time.
Things you take for granted, like eating scrambled eggs. Like, who had the idea?
I mean, that's
to eat eggs and then to cook eggs.
I mean, exactly like that. I mean, that's like a very small scale. Like when I lived in New York and I would fly back from wherever if I was flying back, and you're coming home from like LaGuardia or JFK and you see like the city in the distance.
Yeah.
I would just look at that. I'd be like, people made this. They figured it out and it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's incredible, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but I feel like you're operating at one extreme and I'm at the other. Because like what I was thinking about, like it's a stupid saying, right? Like I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you.
I'm not stupid, you're stupid. Yeah.
But somewhere out there was like some 11-year-old who came up with that, and it went like viral, right? Before the internet, right?
Yeah.
Like who doesn't know that saying? But it's not like Shakespeare wrote that. It was some little
kid.
girl living, in Akron, Ohio or something who just like spit that one out on the playground one day and it just took off.
That person, whoever was the first person to say that, is an unsung hero.
Because no one's ever going to figure that out.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I'm saying about things like, things that man figured out in prehistoric times, right? You can't credit any. Like, who figured out how to make bread? Or who even figured out about yeast? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
or
if
just
you...
literally anything.
If you had, like, a container with some liquid in it, and that liquid started getting foamy and then smelled like yeast, who thinks, I'm going to make some food with that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd dump that
Well, it was
down
probably
the drain.
an accident. Like, a lot of the stuff probably started as an accident.
No, I get that, but I'm saying to me that's an accident that you throw out. It's like when you have food in your fridge that spoils, that's an accident too, but most people don't look at that as like an opportunity, right? Some like big brain person was like, no, I think this is actually a good thing.
Yeah. Probably because, maybe they hadn't figured it out that it was like, that it could be a good thing. Like when food goes bad in the fridge, it's gone through so much process to get to that point. There's not like anything else you can really do with it.
Yeah.
But maybe there is. I mean, I don't know. That should be our homework for the next episode, is think of like an unsung hero.
I already did. I already got the I'm rubber, you are glue person who for some reason, I think that was a little girl. That seems like a little girl thing. Little boys aren't smart enough, I don't think, for that. You see, I'm wearing my shirt again. Did I mention I have 2 of these now? I bought another one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, and I'm only really telling you that because then if you see me wearing it again and you're like, whoa, you really like that shirt? Like, no, I have 2 of them. Don't worry, it's clean.
I don't know if I have any. I don't think I have 2 of the same shirt. Like I
told you I have 9 black. I have 9 black T-shirts.
Yeah, I guess.
But,
I mean that's one thing. Like shirts, like just like plain T-shirts that you can like wear as undershirts or something. Like that's different than like, I mean that's like a shirt. Like you're.
What's the funny thing is
you're
like
dressed to go to work in that.
Well, I'm going to go to work after this, but no, I just prefer. It's like I was thinking about. I asked you about yeeting graphic tees, and I feel like my version of that would be like yeeting shirts with collars.
Yeah. Like
I just prefer wearing, just flannels or polo shirts or just anything. I like collars.
Yeah.
So, but I was saying like my goal, like wardrobe wise, like isn't it like, Einstein and then like Steve Jobs were like both kind of.
They just wear the same stuff every day.
Yeah. I was going to say it's not what they're famous for, but famously they both just like, this is my outfit. I wear it every day. Like, I don't want to do that. Because that's boring, but like
it's like I thought that was because they're so smart Like they were so smart they didn't want to waste like their brain power like figuring out what they're going to wear that day. So they just like said, "I'm
That
just going to wear the
sounds
same
pretty.
thing."
To me, that sounds pretty stupid. Like, oh, I'm so smart, I can't be bothered to pick out my
Well,
clothes.
I mean, you don't
Like,
want to
I
take
don't know
the
about
time
that,
to do
but,
it. You know.
Well, and I guess that gets into what I was going to say. But I was going to say that like my goal, I wish I could have, like in the closet, here's some long sleeve shirts, here's some short sleeve shirts, here's some pants, here's some shorts. Everything goes with everything.
Yes.
And everything's comfortable. So I can literally reach in there. Am I wearing pants today or shorts? That's decision 1. Is it long sleeve shirt, short sleeve shirt? Decision 2. It doesn't matter which ones I grab because everything goes with everything. That's what I'm trying to attain. And I'm getting there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you could wear that shirt that you have on every single day, would you? And nobody would say anything?
No, I just wish like, this shirt came in like, or still comes, I guess, in like 6 or 7 different colors / patterns. Mm-hmm. And like, this is the only good one.
Oh.
So that's what's annoying
it's a
to me.
good
Like
combination of colors, like blue.
It is, but I'm saying like if there were
red
like say 3 different variations of this shirt that I liked, I would have bought a few more of them, and then that's it. I'm covered in the winter for like flannel shirts. But they don't. So I had to buy this exact same shirt twice just because it's just so comfortable, But I would rather have had a different. And then my wife bought one too. But then that upset me because like my wife bought one. But then it comes in like a color combination for girls that is not available for guys. Which aren't we supposed to be living in a world where we're past that? Like what? I can't wear like hers. It's the same pattern.
They probably.
But it's like lavender with yellow stripes, and I'm like, I'd wear that.
Right, and you know how like button downs and stuff like the women's buttons are on the opposite side. That's how you know the difference.
Yeah.
So I mean, they probably just realized that that there's only like they didn't feel like they would sell enough of that color
I get
men,
that.
probably.
I get that.
That whole like zipper and button thing is something I didn't find out until I was like 30.
Is that just a thing here though? Because I feel like I've bought like European shirts, men's shirts,
like an H&M or something.
It was, well, no, but where the buttons were like quote unquote reversed, like where it would be like a women's shirt, but it was absolutely not a women's shirt. So I don't know if that's. I don't know. I noticed it. How can you not notice? You put a shirt on and everything's backwards.
Yeah. I don't know. That sounds like a good question that we can't look up right now.
Or ever.
Or ever.
Oh, by the way, nobody cares, but I care.
Okay.
We were talking about Highway to Heaven last time.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that Michael Landon's co-star was Gordon French, but it was Victor French. So I apologize to the entire French family for that. I got the last name right, which I think is more
that's more important. People can nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to know.
But I saw that
looking them up.
I care.
As a kind of like way they like write out this episode. Did you watch Night Court then? The reboot of Night Court?
Oh crap, we forgot about yes.
I watched the very end of the first episode and the very beginning of this because there's 2 episodes on in a row.
See, this is why you talk about how we're gonna have homework. Like you're not gonna do. You can't even watch 2 freaking episodes of Night Court.
I know. Well, I was going to, but then I was like, I really wanted to. I was at the very end of a game I was playing. I was like, I want to finish it.
You didn't record them or anything either, then. Like you have no way of watching them. Like you didn't record them.
I could watch it. I could hop on.
Okay.
Hop on Peacock and watch it. Hop on the cock and watch it.
Oh Jesus. So then you're bringing it up. So then, do you want to talk about it, or do you not want to talk about it?
What? Oh, Night Court?
Yeah.
Or Peacock?
No, Night Court. Okay.
Because I think we talked about that like after we were done recording last time. Just to set it up, just to set that up so people are not. My suggestion for NBC is to rebrand Peacock as Peacock, like Peacaawk. I think it's really funny. It would be really funny if they did that.
But then you want them to have the catchphrase, like,
Yeah, if you're gonna watch something, like hop on the cock and watch it.
Yeah.
it's like we've really run the gamut. Let me.
But wait, we didn't talk about Night Court yet.
We got to talk about Night Court real quick. I mean, it seems pretty okay. I don't. I'd have to watch like an episode of the original show, like it's been. No. Listen. I haven't watched it in I haven't seen one in like 15, 20 years.
Okay,
so that's why. I watched it when it was on, but it wasn't a weekly thing for me.
I understand that, but speaking of homework and being prepared, not only did I watch both episodes that they showed of the new Night Court, but I had the exact same thought you did. Like, I can't really speak intelligently on the subject unless I go watch an episode of the original Night Court. So I then did that. So I brought my materials to class today.
How does it work? Does it feel like it's a good evolution of it? I mean, because I can't imagine there's a gigantic audience that remember a ton about the original show. That are I
think that the show has done a good job of if you were a fan of Night Court, I think you have reason to tune in and check this out.
Yeah.
But if you're a younger, millennial or younger, then I think that, the way the show is written, I think definitely caters more to younger people. I think when you watch sitcoms now, there's a lot more sort of sappiness or syrupiness to it.
Yeah.
Than there used to be, which I'm not saying that's positive or negative. I'm just saying that's what TV shows are like now. And I think there's a little bit more of that so that, young people that didn't watch original Night Court may still be attracted to this one.
Right.
But I think the main thing I noticed is that there was just sort of a certain way about that original Night Court where I think it almost reminded me more of watching a play rather than
just
a
their
TV
sets
show
or whatever.
Not the set, just the dialogue and the way it is. It's so things are so over the top and the dialogue really is not natural.
Wait, on the original show.
Well, both. That's the point I was going to make. Is I feel like that's the way, because I'm watching the show and I'm like, God, the acting seems so strange. It seems so unnatural. Because if you ever go watch a play, it's kind of how that is too.
Yeah.
It's not. People are not on stage acting like normal humans. They're acting like stage actors.
Because you need to exaggerate more to reach the,
Yes. And so I'm watching the show and I'm like, that's kind of what they're doing. But that's what they were doing in the original show too.
So
the show is very nonsensical and over the top. The original show and this one. And so they did. My point was just that it's obvious that not just the writers but the actors, I think, did their homework and paid attention to the original series and said, how can we recreate that?
Yeah.
Although, some of the stuff I just feel was a little bit too on the nose. You got the judge is the daughter of, the original judge played by Harry Anderson. But then the original, there was the two bailiffs. You had Bull, the tall, bald guy Bull.
And he's not in this at all, right?
No, the only actor that carried
alive?
over is John Larroquette. I don't know.
Okay.
I hope so. But then you had Roz. Remember Roz?
Yeah.
Her name flew out of my head. But I feel like the bailiff they got now, it's Roz was this, big boisterous black woman.
Right.
And so they're like, well, we better do that again. And so now they have the bailiff is this big boisterous black woman.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
They just needed to make that connection in as many ways as they could, I guess. Because even if the original was beloved, we're at the point now with reboots and stuff like that, and like legacy sequels and stuff like that we're really scraping the bottom of the really having to dig deep and scrape the bottom of the barrel to find stuff to bring back. I'm
surprised. Night Court is not the first thing I would have thought.
Exactly.
Would get rebooted.
That's why it took so long for them to do it.
Yeah.
They're getting so many other ones, and some of them are well received, and some of them aren't. Some of them don't even there's probably stuff that we don't even know exists that was rebooted or legacy sequeled or whatever.
Yeah.
There's that whole like Murphy Brown had a show. Like
Yeah, I remember. I used to watch Murphy Brown. Wait, that got redone?
Exactly. Yeah, it
I
did,
didn't
and
know
it didn't do very good, and it got canceled. It only went for one season.
Yeah.
But that was like 2 years ago.
Remember that was on Seinfeld? Well, you don't watch Seinfeld. That was like Kramer was on an episode of Murphy Brown in Seinfeld.
So you should look that up. It's just kind of funny that like that.
I'm probably not gonna do that, but anyway, yeah. So I'm saying, like, if you liked the humor of Night Court, like the absurdity, then I think the new Night Court is equally absurd, just with a little bit. You know, it's the same stack of pancakes, but now you've got the syrup on top. You know,
right?
Because that's what the kids now they want, that feel good tone that I think that shows didn't have as much of.
And I mean, I guess people like our age are like the audience that they're going for. But I think that the weird thing about it is that when the original was on, we were probably not old enough to like truly like understand a lot of like the stuff in it.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
like,
it's like watching Looney,
our parents
like watching Looney Tunes.
And then I feel like our parents like are probably too old to like really say, hey, I'm going to watch the Night Court reboot. So it's just it's
like
kind of in this weird time period. This weird.
My mom would have been like in her 30s when Night Court was on.
Right. Would have been like
now
basically
my mom's in her
close
70s.
to our age
She's
now
not going to.
When it was
70-year-olds don't have a sense of humor anymore, really. So like that I've seen.
But they're also, I mean, very few of them are probably making like specific, like watching TV, like certain shows at specific times. And most of them are probably certainly not hopping on Peacock and watching it.
Hopping on the cock, no. I don't know. I would just say that because I said last time, like I was prepared for it to suck.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think it was great. I think it exceeded my expectations. I wouldn't be surprised
if it doesn't last.
Yeah. Like if it didn't even get a second season, I wouldn't be like shocked. Like, oh, how could you do that? You know?
Yeah. And not for any fault of their own. I mean, it was, and I mean, you can judge this better than I can because you watch so much more of it, but I mean, it's probably exactly as good as it needed to be.
Yeah. But the problem is we just live in a world where it's just like, if you want to watch Night Court, you can just go watch Night Court.
Yes.
Like you don't need it to be rebooted.
Yeah, and like I mean, is anybody really caring what these characters are up to now?
I doubt it. Wouldn't you just think they're all dead? I mean,
yeah, or I mean, several of them are. I mean, at least one of them are. Is. Yeah. All right. This is like I think this might be our longest episode. We definitely
it 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Definitely, we did some.
It's up there.
Yeah,
did some soul searching.
Yeah, it's kind of this is I don't know, like a therapeutic episode. I think in a way.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Yes, that's going to do it for this episode of Here's My Question for You. And
you want to tell people about the Twitter and the email?
Just the email, really. You should email us at here'smypodcast@gmail.com. We have Twitter. I don't really post anything. You don't even have access to the Twitter. So
no,
you can. You're welcome to it.
I've removed Twitter from my phone. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah.
I'm not using it very much.
Yeah. I made a YouTube short video.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to do that every episode.
I think that's a good idea.
Because it's like I can also upload that to Instagram and Twitter if I want to.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I don't think we ever said anything funny in this episode, though, so it's going to be hard to find a YouTube
You never
short.
know. I mean, who knows? We can make one about Peacock if you wanted to. Who knows?
I might actually.
All right.
We'll see. All right.
Like,
anyway.
if we can get that trending, maybe NBC will be like, he's got a point.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.